Hi everyone, and welcome back to part 3 of Egyptian engineering. Going to take off from where I stopped last time, try and get through as much as I can. So here we go. The third or Great Pyramid, or that of degrees, stands about 91 feet above the level of the plain, in inclined way by which stone was drawn up, being cut out of the sides of the rock. It differs from most of the other pyramids in its construction, and from its having 4 entrances, several chambers, originally on the exterior 6 steps and truncated pyramids diminishing upwards. The core or mass of masonry is rubble enclosed by 11 walls, each about 9 feet in thickness, inclining inwards. These walls are built of rudely square stones on a mortar made of gravel, on the desert and lime, or Nile earth. The length of the sides of the original base from north to south was 351 feet 2 inches, and from east to west 393 feet 11 inches. The total area was 15,372 square yards. The plan of this pyramid indicates the passages and galleries which led to and from the square sepulchral chamber, shown nearly in the centre. Intricate as they now are, they appear to have been set around a principal room at regular distances, whatever may have been their level or height. The regularity in which the walls are built with the very coarse material shows some advancement in the knowledge of construction. Concrete or rubble employed here is very early indication of the use of artificial cements, which have continued to be adopted throughout the civilized world at all periods. The due proportion of the lime and other compounds experienced soon taught is being one of the properties of matter to mix only in definite quantities. The concrete of the pyramid, of the Colosseum and our feudal castles differ only from the quality of the lime made use of, some being so excellent or so perfectly pure as to unite with a greater quantity of stone than the other. The platform at the top measured originally from north to south 42 feet and 10 inches, and from east to west 85 feet 8 inches. The height of the first step is 37 feet 8 inches, and of the second 35 feet 11 inches. The third 34 feet 3 inches. The fourth 32 feet 7 inches. The fifth 30 feet 10 inches. The sixth 29 feet 2 inches. The face of each story makes an angle with the horizon of 73 degrees 30 minutes. At a distance of 52 feet from the pyramid and 11 feet toward the westward of the centre, it is the entrance by means of a sunk pit. Here commences a horizontal passage 120 feet in length. This afterwards takes a winding direction and descends into the large chamber. The general inclination is 23 degrees 20 minutes, and the width of the passage is in the centre 3 feet and 5 inches. Its length is 176 feet 5 inches, and its entrance to the chamber is 7 feet 6 inches above the level of the floor. There is another passage 179 feet 6 inches in length, and in breadth and height 4 feet 2 inches, excavated out of the rock. This commences at 5 feet to the eastward of the northern front, at about 5 feet distance from the building. This passage communicates with a recess in the upper part of the western side of the large chamber, where apparently a wooden beam has been introduced to which a rope had been suspended. This passage was nearly straight and lying horizontal. At a distance of 7 feet to the eastward of the southern front was another pit, 14 feet square. From this proceeded a horizontal gallery 166 feet 3 inches long, 10 feet wide and 6 feet 4 inches high, with a recess at the southern western angle of the larger chamber. This recess was 70 feet above the level of the chamber. The whole of the passage was cut out of the rock, and its covering or roof was supported by a row of 22 columns made of compact limestone. These columns, which are partly covered by hieroglyphs, have been wedged up above and below with wood to catch the bearing of the superincumbent weight. to which most of them have yielded. The large chamber is excavated out of the rock. Its western side is 25 feet 6 inches to the eastward of the centre of the pyramid, from north to south, but is immediately under it from east to west. Its dimensions are 24 feet by 23, and its height was 77 feet from the floor to the ceiling, which was found to have been formed of planks supported by a platform of timber, consisting of 2 principal beams and cross-bearers. One of these beams remained in its situation, though broken in the middle. The floor of the chamber was formed from blocks of granite, 10 feet long, 5 feet 4.5 inches wide, and the same in height. Its entrance was closed by a conical block of granite, weighing about 4 tons. The granite blocks were comprised of the floor of the large chamber, own thickness of about 4 feet, and supported on pillars of loose stones wedged up with the wood. From the southern western angle of the large chamber, a passage communicates with the smaller rooms. The first is 20 feet 6 inches from north to south, 5 feet 1.5 inch in width, and 6 feet 5 inches in height. The other is 18 feet 8 inches in length from east to west, and of the same width and height as the last. The sides of these apartments were lined with calcareous stone and ornamented with bluish-green porcelain. The ceiling and floor was the narrative rock, smoothed and plastered over. Several chambers and galleries which conducted to them were finished and decorated in a similar manner to the houses or palaces occupied by the living, which were usually coated with a fine stucco within and without, and ornamented with devices by the painter. In some of the tombs, bronze pins have been noticed in the floors within the openings with which the wooden doors turned, which shut in the several chambers. Sometimes holes or mortices in the pavement and stone lintel above the opening are discovered, in which the pivot at the top and bottom of the door was inserted. Many bolts and bars which secured the openings have also been found, as have iron keys. The floors, not of stone, were covered with a composition, and the ceilings in its many instances exhibit remains of painting. Among the designs of some may be traced all that is admired in the ornaments of Greece and Rome. The fret and other familiar forms are here first met in all their variety. The fourth pyramid has not been accurately measured, but it is about 220 feet square, and height is 62 feet, platform at the top being 30 feet. The fifth pyramid is the only one entirely constructed with quarried stone, the others being only cased with that material. The base measures 250 feet and its height is 40 feet. The sixth pyramid measures at present at its base 270 feet and in height 80 feet. The seventh pyramid at its base is 140 feet, the eighth 240 feet and the ninth 245 feet. These are most of them causeways and are built in steps. The pyramids of Dashurs are situated near the village of Menshir, and are about 3 miles from Dashurs. They consist of 2 of brick, 2 of stone, another of northern brick pyramid. It is composed of crude bricks, and has been covered with stone from the Mokattam quarries. This was supposed to have been described by Herodotus as built by Asychis, the successor of Mycerinus. Many of the stones which formed the casing were at the base 8 feet 3 inches in length, 6 feet in width, and 1 foot 11 inches thick, at the ends being sloped with the inclination of the pyramid. They were not laid in regular courses, but in the manner termed polygonal. Several of them held together by dovetail cramps made of stone. The body of the pyramid was built of bricks, which were about 16 inches in length, 8 inches in width, and from 4.5 to 5.5 inches thick. They were mostly comprised of alluvial earth, some with sand but containing a quantity of straw, and others made with dark-coloured tenacious earth without any straw. They are all laid in regular courses, occasionally crossed by others, the interstices being filled up with dry sand. The original base measured 350 feet, and the height 215 feet, 6 inches. The angle at which the casing was laid was 51 degrees, 20 minutes and 25 seconds. The pyramid was, at present, baffled all attempts at discovering his chambers. The northern stone pyramid has its exterior casing, the lining of the passages and chambers of white compact limestone, which was brought along 2 causeways from the quarries, lying at westerly direction, or by 2 others which conduct to the Nile, where the stone might have been brought from the opposite side of the river. The original base measured 719 feet 5 inches, its perpendicular height 342 feet 7 inches, and the angle of its casing 43 degrees 36 minutes 11 seconds. The top was formed of 1 block of Arabian stone, which rested upon a course formed of 4 others 4 feet 9 inches in thickness. Those immediately below averaged 2 feet in thickness, and near the bottom 3 feet, and were all laid in regular horizontal courses, and well built. The entrance is its centre 12 feet 6 inches to the eastward of the centre and northern front, and the bottom of it is 94 feet, higher than the base of the building. The passage is 3 feet 6 inches wide, 4 feet high, and inclines at an angle of 27 degrees 56 minutes. Its original length was 205 feet 6 inches, the lower portion, and horizontal passage 24 feet 4 inches long. It leads to the first chamber, which is 27 feet 6 inches in length from north to south, 12 feet from east to west, having its floor level with the base of the pyramid. The 4 lower courses of the walls to the height of 11 feet 8.5 inches are perpendicular. Over those are 11 other courses, each of which overhangs the other nearly 6 inches, so that the ceiling is only 14 inches in width. The 2 first courses, which project, are each 3 feet in thickness, while the other are about 2 feet 6 inches. The height of its chamber is 40 feet 4 inches. From the western corner of the chamber is a passage 10 feet 4 inches long, 3 feet 6 inches wide, and 4 feet 6 inches high, which leads to another similar chamber at the end of which the height is 25 feet 3 inches from the floor, and its passage running southward 24 feet in length to another chamber 27 feet 3 inches long from east to west, and 13 feet 7 inches in breadth. The other sides are perpendicular to the height of 12 feet, after there are 14 courses overhanging each other. The total height is being 48 feet. The southern stone pyramid is singular from its having 2 inclinations. The massive body is formed of stone, and its casing appears to have been brought from the quarries of Mokattam. Its base measured 616 feet 8 inches, and its total present height is 320 feet. The angle of the casing of the lower portion is 54 degrees 14 minutes 46 seconds, and that of the upper 42 degrees 59 minutes 26 seconds, the platform at the top being about 40 feet square. There are 2 inclined passages. One has its entrance at the centre of the northern front, about 35 feet perpendicularly above the base, and the other at 44 feet to the southward of the centre of the western front, at a perpendicular height of 97 feet 8 inches above the base. The entrance from the western front of the pyramid was by a passage 222 feet 8 inches long and 3 feet 4 inches wide and high. At the end was a horizontal passage 65 feet 6 inches in length, and in it were 2 portcullises. They were slipped down inclined planes into their position to cover the opening of the passage at the western end of the horizontal passage of the chamber, 21 feet 6 inches long, 13 feet 6 inches wide, and 52 feet 6 inches high. This pyramid was the only one that had its inclined passage from any other quarter than its north. A small pyramid was built roughly of hewn blocks and was cased with Mokattam stone. Its base measured 181 feet and its height 106 feet 9 inches, the angle of its casing being 50 degrees, 11 minutes and 41 seconds. Southern Brick Pyramid. Now, the bricks contain a quantity of straw, pieces of broken pottery and stone, and vary in size, and are in length from 13.5 to 15.5 inches, and thickness is from 3.5 to 7.5 inches. This pyramid has been cased with stone from the Mokattam quarries. Its original base measured 342 feet 6 inches, and its original height perpendicularly 267 feet 4 inches, to the angle of its casing being 57 degrees 20 minutes 2 seconds. The interior of these brick pyramids has not been examined. Pyramids of Liedtke. The northern at the base now measures 360 feet and the southern 450 feet. Pyramid of Meidum has a base of 530 feet square. It's built in 3 heights or degrees, forming so many truncated pyramids, the angle being 74 degrees 10 minutes. The lower degrees measures at its base 199 feet, and that is 69 feet 6 inches in height. The second is 127 feet and 32 feet 6 inches high. The upper is about 22 feet 6 inches high, and the blocks are of compact limestone, about 2 feet thick, and laid at right angles, and well put together. The whole being originally cased with others, it has not had its interior described. Pyramid of Mahun is built round a knoll of rock, which has been faced with crude brick. The body of the pyramid, being formed with the same material, is supported by stone walls, which cross the pyramid at its 2 diagonals, and others proceeding out of them running parallel with the sides. The bricks are laid in mortar and measured 16.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and they're 5 inches more in thickness. They are formed of Nile earth and chopped straw. The outer casing was of stone, and present base measures 360 feet, and height is 130 feet. The use of unburnt bricks was general throughout Egypt, and their manufacture gave employment to a great body of labourers. This simple material, in our own day, is quite often more economical than stone, quarried or obtained upon the spot. Gardens and even enclosures at the temples of the gods in Egypt were often surrounded by walls of crude brick, merely baked in the sun. The demand being at one period so great for bricks that the government undertook to manufacture them and to supply the public at a reasonable price, to do this in a manner to improve the revenue. The seal of the king or authorised agent was stamped upon them, and all persons forbidden to engage in the manufacture. That's interesting. Pyramid of Hawara is constructed of crude bricks containing chopped straw. They measure 17.5 inches by 8 3/4. They're 5.5 inches thick. Laid on fine gravel, originally it was cased with stone. Excuse me. Its present base measures 300 feet and its height 106 feet. Southward is the pyramid. Southward of this pyramid are the ruins of an extensive labyrinth, as it is supposed. Pyramids of Bayamu are 5 miles from the Medinet El Fioum. They consist of 2 masses about 30 feet by 22, and are about 30 feet in height. Pyramid of El Kufa in latitude is 25 degrees 10 minutes, has its present base 59 feet 6 inches square. They are 27 courses built in 3 several degrees, 38 feet 6 inches in height above the rock. Ethiopia, the land of Meru, which is formed by the conflux of the Aspetus and the Astaborus, according to the Diodorus Siculus, is in length 375 miles and width 125. It's situated between the 12th and 18th degrees north latitude, along the seat of Empire of the Kings of Ethiopia. Pyramids at Meroe, which at this day remain, are above 80 in number, and some of them contain hieroglyphs and sculpture of no ordinary kind. They are constructed of red sandstone from quarries in the neighbouring hills, which lie to the east of them. The stone is of soft quantity, of a brownish red tint, and the blocks, which are 2 feet 6 inches long, are laid in regular courses, a foot high. These pyramids vary in dimensions from 20 feet square to 63, and their height is about the same as the length of the base. At the angles of some, instead of an aris, or sharp edge, is a bold head, and in many, at about 12 or 14 feet from the top, is a small window. But the most singular part of their arrangement is that of having on their east sides a portico. Which contains a room varying in width from 11 feet 6 inches to 12 feet 6 inches, and in some instances there are 2 rooms. Height of these porches are in some instances 18 or 19 feet, and they bear with their doorway 3 feet wide a strong resemblance to the Egyptian propylon. Above the doorway is an architrave, over which is a square fillet, and then a bold carved cornice ornamented with a winged globe. One of the best proportioned of these propylons, or entrances, has a doorway 11 feet 6 inches high, and to the top of the cornice 14 feet. On each side the walls slightly battered. At the bottom they measure 7 feet 6 inches in width, and at the top 7 feet. These porticos do not much vary in dimension, although the pyramids to which they are applied differ. These pyramids do not appear to contain any passages or rooms, and they are all probably constructed over wells in which the dead were deposited. One of the porches is arched and consists of 4 or 5 stones, constructed in a regular manner, said to be of the highest antiquity. It is stated that the earliest known, and that in all probability the Egyptians derived their knowledge in its kind of construction from the Ethiopians. Diodorus Siculus informs us that was from the Egyptians learned to honour their kings as gods, to bury their dead with so much pomp, and also that from them they received their instruction in sculpture, as well in hieroglyphical representations, as the Egyptians were colony drawn out by Osiris after Egypt was formed by the deposit of the Nile. That Egyptian laws were the same as those of Ethiopia. At Gibel el Bakel, 3.5 miles east of the town of Meroe, and about 5,200 feet from the Nile, are several remains, among which are those of a fine temple, said to have been built by Taraka, who was the Ethiopian king that assisted Hezekiah when he was at war with Sennacherib, king of Assyria. These several temples are of considerable dimensions and agree in their architecture and sculpture with which is found in Egypt. On the western side of the mountain, from whence the stone was taken for the building of these several temples, remain 17 pyramids, which they were burial places of a dynasty of unknown kings. They resemble those of Meroe. They vary in height from 35 to 60 feet and usually consist of 30 to 60 steps, which proceed about 6 inches, so that they are convenient means to mount to the top. Pyramids in Nuri. These are traces of 35, 15 of which are in tolerable preservation. They vary in dimension from 20 to 110 feet square. Each of them are 80 feet square and 470. Their height is usually as much as their length, their side. The largest is built up in 3 stages. In their interior, most of them seem to be composed of conglomerate and pudding stone, and the casing generally of soft sandstone. The pyramidal form seems to have been generally adopted by the Egyptians and Ethiopians, who considered their palaces only as inns when they tarried for a day, but made their sepulchres habitations for rest for ages. There are no such remains in Greece, yet we find them in Etruria. According to Pliny, the Etruscans built the tomb of Porsena in this form, or rather it had 5 small pyramids. At Rome, monument of Caius Cestius is pyramidal and constructed of marble. Its base measures 96 feet and its height 121 feet. Caius Cestius, who appeared to have died when Agrippa was consul, was descended from a noble family and appointed one of the Apulones to prepare the banquets for the gods. For the ceremonies of their Lectisternium, so frequently mentioned by Livy the historian. From the peculiar form of the monument, and its being only one at Rome of the kind, we should almost fancy that it had been derived from some of those of Nubia, with which it is so exactly corresponds in arrangement and dimension. Had Caius Cestius held office under Roman General Petronius in this expedition against Queen Candace, when he penetrated into Ethiopia and took the towns of Selchis, Premis and Napata, about 20 years before the birth of Christ, we should have supposed that he had been struck with the respect paid to the dead in some of their necropoli, and selected the same form of his own place of sepulture. In the interesting travels of G. A. Hoskins into Ethiopia, the description of elliptical brick arch, which he discovered in a tomb of Thebes, situated near the valley of the sepulchre of the queens. The roof or ceiling was painted with upon a plaster ground, and along the centre was a line of hieroglyphs, which contained the name Amunoph I, which proves existence of the arch in that part of Egypt 15 centuries and a half before the Christian era. Its span is 8 feet 6 and its rise 3 feet 4 inches. Another brick arch also describes in the road of Menomium to the valley of Hassasif in a small tomb, which is also vaulted. This has a lower arch of brick resting on a shelf cut on each side of the native rock. The access to the tomb is through the hole in the ceiling from the floor of another tomb above it, where the construction of the arch is seen. The hole is covered with plaster, and on the jambs of the recess are inscribed titles of Praemenon of Totmes III, son establisher of the world, 5th king of the 18th dynasty, who reigned 15 centuries before Christ. In the pyramid at Gibel el Berkel, in a semicircular arch, the keystone of which is 1 foot 9 inches in length. The only stone arch said by Mr. Hoskins to be met with in Egypt is at North Dir. At Thebes, the vaulted tomb at Memphis is of the time of Psammetichus, who reigned immediately after the Ethiopian dynasty, and it is inferred that the Egyptians learned to use the arch from the Ethiopians. Alexandria. This ancient port was improved by Alexander the Great after his success against Tyre, and according to the historian Gibbon, the undertaking was as noble as any ever executed by the son of Philip. Having journeyed through Egypt and observed the highly productive state of the country, and that it was watered by one of the largest rivers of the world, which discharged itself by 7 mouths into the Mediterranean Sea, he imagined that its only want was a convenient haven. Pelusium, at the eastern mouth of the Nile, was not capable of improvement. Canopus, on the eastern side of the western mouth, was still more inconvenient, although it had landing place for ships. Alexander, who was liberal and magnificent, found among his countrymen engineers qualified to second his bold ideas that he had, and is rare quality among princes, the talent to select the best fitted to execute them. On this occasion he appointed Dinocrates his architect and engineer, who had already acquired great celebrity in the construction of the temple of Ephesus, dedicated to Diana. The site selected for the new city was on the western side of the Nile, between the river and the lake Maraeotis, for which nature had done much, and which seemed capable of being made by art all that was desirable, and an opportunity was afforded to humble the Tyrians, to divert the commerce which they had long enjoyed, to change the current of the Indian trade by Suez, the Nile, and its canal, to the new city of Alexandria. In the midst of the capacious bay of the shores of which the city marked out, at some distance from the mainland, lay the islands of Faroes, which acted as a natural breakwater, and which, in the time of Strabo, was of oblong form. This Dinocrates united with the mainland by an extensive causeway, or earth wall, and from its length being 7 stadia, it was called the Heptastadium. This grand terrace divided the bay into 2 harbours, which communicated with each other by means of 2 openings, left for vessels to pass from one to the other. The city was marked out with great regularity. Its form was of the Macedonian mantle or cloak, and 320 years before Christ the walls were constructed. They were considerably advanced. So the video is going to cut out now, so I'll end this part here. Once again, I'm sorry about my reading. Got no excuses, I should be doing better. I'll get part 4 done as well today. So I hope you enjoy the information. I'll see you soon. God bless.